Busch Gardens Williamsburg has a very interesting coaster collection, being that their oldest roller coaster, Loch Ness Monster, is only 41 years old. That may not sound strange, but when you consider the gap from Loch Ness Monster to their next oldest roller coaster, Alpengeist, which opened in 1997, we can see that majority of the roller coasters at Busch Gardens are around 20 years old or newer. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is not shy from ripping out coasters that they consider past their prime or flops. Take a bird's eye view of their collection. I would be hard pressed to say I'd axe any of their coasters, but unfortunately, this isn't up to me. Personally, I think there are 4 roller coasters at Busch Gardens that could be endangered of being removed or demolished, and that would be Loch Ness Monster, the park's classic aero looping coaster, Alpengeist, a giant inverted B&M, Verbolten, a multi-launching half-dark ride roller coaster by Zier, and finally Tempesto, a Skyrocket 2 model clone by Premier Rides. Each of these roller coasters have a certain aspect that I think could put them on the chopping block, so let's discuss the probability of each one. Let's start out with a roller coaster that I think is the most safe of the bunch, and that's Verbolten. This family roller coaster features 2 launches, a dark ride section, and a drop track. The ride strategically uses many of the original footers by the former Big Bad Wolf, basically to cut costs and also to show homage to this defunct attraction. The main reason I could see this roller coaster go is because of the complicated drop track and dark ride portion of the ride. Recently, we saw Busch Gardens remove one of their beloved dark ride attraction, Dark Castle, mostly the cutback on maintenance costs, so it's possible but very slim we could see the same thing happen to Verbolten. Fortunately, Verbolten is a very popular attraction, and being a family roller coaster, it attracts a wide range of audience. For now, I think this coaster is safe. B&M has a pretty impressive record for only having 1 or 2, depending on how you want to look at it, of their attractions getting demolished, which was Dragon Challenge. Unfortunately, I don't think this record will last forever, as some of their older roller coasters are starting to show their age. Alpengeist, which opened in 1997, is still a pretty decent inverted coaster, and it's also a personal favorite of mine. However, the ride's popularity is starting to dwindle, and since this roller coaster takes up a decent chunk of land, it's possible Busch Gardens could opt to remove it. However, just like Verbolten, Alpengeist is still in decent shape. I think the ride is still smooth. It's got that one jarring transition during the Cobra roll, but beyond that, it's still in great shape. Also, Busch Gardens isn't in dire need of space to expand, so I could see this roller coaster hanging on for another 10 years or so. Loch Ness Monster is the oldest operating roller coaster at Busch Gardens, so that's already a ding against the ride. Back in 2018, the park celebrated 40 years of Loch Ness Monster and added much needed improvements to the ride. This tells me that the park has intentions of holding on to this roller coaster for as long as they can. If you watched my review, you'd know that I'm not a fan of Loch Ness Monster. It has given me headaches and a sore neck, so I really don't enjoy riding this attraction. However, instead of gutting this attraction, I propose another option. Give it another upgrade in the form of like a Phantom's Revenge transformation. It doesn't have to be as extreme, like you wouldn't remove the iconic loops, but maybe fix some of the ride's rough transitions to smooth out this aging coaster. Maybe make improvements to the support so it can have both trains entering the loops at the same time. Loch Ness is another roller coaster that isn't as popular, so doing some extensive retracking could breathe new life into this aero looping coaster. Finally, the roller coaster that some were actually upset that it was even built in the first place, Tempesto. This multi-launching shuttle coaster by Premier Rides is a cloned Skyrocket 2 model. Currently, there are 9 of these models in operation across the world. SeaWorld Parks has 3 of them operating at their respective parks. The downside about the Skyrocket 2 models is the low capacity. On a good day, this ride could have a hypothetical capacity of like 540 riders per hour. However, I doubt this ride will ever hit this number, even if Tempesto's team is working on point. Premier Rides has offered a version of this roller coaster that features a dual loading station, so while one roller coaster is running the course, the other one is in the station loading up passengers. For some reason, Busch Gardens didn't think this was a necessary option, and even surprised us by not including this version with Tigress, their other Skyrocket 2 model that opened up earlier this year at Busch Gardens Tampa. If you look at Tempesto more like a flat ride instead of a roller coaster, the ride capacity doesn't seem that bad. But as it is now, Tempesto feels out of place at Busch Gardens. It's not a high capacity coaster that is needed to keep up with Busch Gardens' high attendance numbers. What I propose, and would make a lot more sense, dismantle Tempesto and ship it down to SeaWorld San Antonio. This SeaWorld park desperately needs more rides, and since this park doesn't have as high of an attendance like Busch Gardens, San Antonio would make a great home. Tempesto would remain unique down in Texas since there are no other roller coasters quite like it. The closest would be Mr. Freeze at Six Flags over Texas, but both parks are far enough away from each other that Skyrocket 2 would work great at SeaWorld. Not that San Antonio wouldn't mind having two of the same coasters in their city, which is what they have with their inverted Batman clones, but that's a different topic. Overall, Busch Gardens Williamsburg has a great coaster lineup, and it's tough imagining any other roller coasters leaving soon. If I had to make an educated guess, I would say that Tempesto would be the first coaster to go. I think it makes great sense to relocate this roller coaster. Busch Gardens is already building another multi-launching coaster for 2020 with Pantheon, and if the rumors are true, 2021 could also see another similar style shuttle coaster in the works. Well, that was my list of the next roller coaster at Busch Gardens to get the axe. Let me know in the comments below which coaster you think is most likely to be removed next. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like this video. As always, please subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content coming your way by XscreamThrills.